Good afternoon, everybody. So today we're going to talk about 19 Charlie, what it is, who came up with the idea, and what does that mean going forward for the U.S. Army. I apologize for taking this long to get this update out. I posted something on my main Facebook page yesterday, and I intended to make a video later today or later that day, and I lost all my tabs that had all my information on my browser. I had a little ADHD moment, and so I had to crawl into a ball and go cry somewhere. But I was able to find those documents again, so here we go. If you don't know, the U.S. Army is coming out with a new MOS, 19 Charlie Bradley Crewmember. Yesterday, the U.S. Army posted this image talking about 19 Charlie. I know that there was a 11 Mike back at one point, maybe the mid-90s, early 90s, something like that. And a lot of people think that they're going to be the same thing, but I believe that they're actually going to be quite different. So we'll get into that. The first thing that popped into my mind was that the U.S. Army must be looking at what's going on in Europe. They must be thinking about the tensions with China and Iran, and thinking strategically that we're going to be needing a lot more drivers for infantry fighting vehicles in case anything kicks off. And everyone's got to be thinking that strategically we're going to need a lot more drivers for armored vehicles to compete with these massive regional powers. Ukraine and Russia in particular are losing massive amounts of vehicles in a brutal war of attrition. There hasn't been a high-intensity peer-to-peer war in Europe since 1945. What we're seeing is a tremendous expenditure in manpower, equipment, supplies, ammunition, ordnance, and armored vehicles. I'm going to read this to you. The Oryx blog, a website that documents visually confirmed vehicle and equipment losses of both Russia and Ukraine since the start of the invasion in February 2022, gives us the following numbers. As of now, Ukraine has lost a total of 839 infantry fighting vehicles. Russia has lost 3,359 infantry fighting vehicles. So think BMPs and that sort of thing. For comparison, the U.S. Army has roughly 4,000 Bradleys in its inventory. Can you imagine the political storm that would brew if we had lost every single fighting vehicle that we had in our inventory in a matter of 2-3 years? So I was thinking about this and speculating pretty much that the Army had this in mind when they were thinking about bringing on this new MOS. But what if it's something else entirely? While I was doing research for this video, I found an article from the summer of 2021 from Armor School Newsletter. And I'll read it to you right now. Thunderbolt Blast. Armor School Newsletter, Summer 2021. Status of 19 Charlie Initiative. The Office of the Chief of Armor is currently working with outside agencies for the potential creation and implementation of MOS 19 Charlie Bradley Crewmember. Development started based on the 3-core lethality study and the identification of gaps in mounted core competencies within the infantry branch that have directly affected lethality and sustainability within the armored brigade combat teams. A joint 4-star memo signed by the TRADOC and FORSCOM commanders was received by both the armor and infantry schools to initiate a concerted effort to best support the intent of the commanders to regain mounted proficiency and lethality within the armored brigade combat teams. All the current actions taken by the two schools is pre-decisional. So as it turns out, this MOS was already in consideration before the invasion even kicked off by almost a full year. You have to remember that the U.S. military was focused on counterinsurgency tactics. Armored warfare was seen as an old school doctrine, not really super relevant to 21st century warfare. Sure, you could keep some tanks around, just like Congress decided to keep some Iowa-class battleships around in the late Cold War in case we needed heavy guns. But airstrikes and special forces would be the tip of the spear with precision weapons. Even the U.S. Marine Corps divested of their tanks in that infamous memo, Force Redesign 2030. If you want to know more about that, Chappie from Task and Purpose just posted an excellent video about that topic, and I recommend you check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. After further research, I found this letter from U.S. Army Maneuver Center of Excellence titled, "Welcome, Bradley Fighting Vehicle Crewman 19 Charlie to the Armor Family." It's a long letter, but I'll read 2 of the paragraphs I found most important. I found this document on more.army.mil if you want to read the thing in its entirety. As we look to the integration of the new 19 Charlie Military Occupation Specialty MOS within our formations, I would like to impress upon the force the importance of this monumental addition to the armor branch. Our mounted platforms are central to who we are and what we bring to armored combat on the modern battlefield. I'm going to skim here. Although we have not truly invested in our Bradley fighting vehicles to the same degree as the Abrams main battle tank crewman or reconnaissance cavalry scout, the Bradley revolutionized mobile protection for infantry, cavalry, artillery, and engineers. Skipping, in recent history, we have not invested in the training of our Bradley fighting vehicle crews like we should have. Skipping again, due to the lack of expertise on the Bradley fighting vehicle, multiple safety incidents have resulted in damage to equipment, injuries to soldiers, and loss of life. In the last 3 years alone, there have been 16 accidents that have resulted in the deaths of 5 soldiers. These incidents and deaths are preventable. Part of how we will address the problem is supported by the 3-Corps lethality report, which found a direct correlation between Bradley fighting vehicle proficiency and safety incidents. Historically, 11 Bravo infantrymen have been crew members for the Bradley fighting vehicle. Unfortunately, this forced them to transition between dismounted and mounted operations with such frequency that some felt that there was not the focus on one or the other. As the Army looks to provide our mechanized forces with full dismounted platoons, we look to provide trained experts on the Bradley fighting vehicle within those same units. This allows the armor community and our 19 Charlies to provide the most lethal capability with our dismounted infantry platoons as part of combined arms warfare. We will begin training 19 Charlies at One Station Unit Training, OCT, and continue their road to expertise throughout all armor professional military education courses, continuing through the Maneuver Senior Leaders course. The designated 19 Charlie MOS for the Bradley fighting vehicle will allow platform expertise. In addition to our safety and lethality issues, we have struggled to maintain operational readiness of the Bradley flight above 85% in fiscal year 2022. Although that number is a seemingly high percentage, it could be higher if we did not have 111 non-mission capable Bradley fighting vehicles. With these vehicles operational, the Army's operational readiness rating would rise to 92%, allowing command teams to train the 28 platoons worth of Bradleys currently sitting in maintenance bays. With the Armor Branch's expertise in modern warfare, we can concentrate our efforts on manning and training Bradley crewmen to enable the U.S. Army to deploy more proficient and lethal Armor Brigade combat teams in support of our geographic combatant commands during LSCO. The 19 Charlie MOS will bring Bradley platform mastery to our Armor Brigade combat teams. An increase in lethality and readiness coupled with a decrease in injuries and accidents are critical to the next war. The future of armor lethality starts now. Command Sergeant Major Lavaris J. Jackson Sr., Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army Armor School, Thunderbolt 7. Lastly, I finally found the original document which caused me to go down this rabbit hole in the first place, titled Milper Message 24-041 for establishment of MOS 19 Charlie Bradley crew member and revision of ASI Juliet 3 Bradley Master Gunner, which I'll read for you right now. If anyone has read these Milper messages, I'm going to go ahead and just read a couple of the paragraphs because they don't have the best narrative. They're kind of dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and read 2 or 3 of the paragraphs so you get the gist of it. Milper message number 24-041, proponent. Title, Establishment of MOS 19 Charlie Bradley crew member. Career Management Field 19 Armor and revision of Additional Skill Identifier ASI Juliet 3 Bradley Master Gunner. Issued 29 January 2024. Skimming down to paragraph 1 and 2. This message applies to all soldiers serving in the regular Army and Army National Guard. This message will expire 29 January 2025. Effective 1 October 2024, Military Occupational Specialty MOS 19 Charlie Bradley crew member will be established and authorized in the grades of E1 through E7. There are 2 paths to become qualified in MOS 19 Charlie. A waiver of formal training via constructive credit from the U.S. Army Armor School, or successful completion of formal training conducted under the auspices of U.S. Army Armor School. Select 11 Bravo E1 through E7 duties, functions, and authorizations will be transferred to MOS 19 Charlie. Skipping down to paragraph 14-15, Army National Guard soldiers and leaders who have questions concerning the structure change should contact the U.S. Army Armor School, Fort Moore, Georgia, using the email address, and there's the email address right there. Paragraph 15, regular Army soldiers and leaders should contact their servicing or installation career counselor for questions concerning reenlistment, reclassification, or training availability for MOS 19 Charlie. Regular Army career counselors with questions pertaining to this message should contact the Retention and Reclassification Branch at U.S. Army Human Resources Command at the following email. While the Russo-Ukrainian War no doubt has some influences on how military planners decided to modernize and deploy armored formations, the truth appears to be much more mundane. Recent preventable accidents which have caused the death of soldiers operating the Bradley and the perceived lack of proficiency of 11 Bravo soldiers which lead to these accidents. They were split between two worlds, that of armored vehicle crewmen and that of infantrymen. So that's all I got today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I really want to hear from those of you that are former or current 11 Bravos, what you guys think of this transition. Do you think this is a good move? Do you think this is a bad move? Let me know in the comments down below. Any other soldiers out there that are interested in transitioning to this new MOS, let me know what you guys think. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.